Hi, I'm Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. This week, we're going to talk about golf balls. We're going to talk about golf balls that go really, really far. Gary, do you want to introduce our guest?
I'm trying to think of a beard joke, but I don't have one. That's the best beard
There's a
I've
beard and a ball
seen.
joke there somewhere.
That's the best beard I've seen in a long time. We got Adam Rehberg, the marketing manager from Bridgestone, and he's going to explain how Bridgestone, to develop a new ball, a distance ball, they went to the most obvious place in the world, the World Long Drive Tour, which as soon as you hear that, you go, how come? Your first
Why
thought is,
not?
why did nobody think of that sooner? It's a
That's
great
right.
idea.
That's what I
Well,
thought.
yeah, Adam. I mean, what was the genesis of this idea? Like, let's talk to the guys who hit it the farthest and see what they think. I mean, it's so obvious. It's not obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were kind of on parallel paths. The World Long Drive guys and Bridgestone, we were really investigating kind of a distance-oriented golf ball. You know, the E12 Contact is one of those that's built a little bit for everything for the average consumer. You know, it's a three-piece ball. There's a little bit of feel around the greens, a little bit of straightness off the tee. But we were really kind of going down the path of, hey, let's make a ball that is like the attributes are like ramped up to a 10 for distance and off the tee, and let's kind of maximize for that person that's looking for that is the most important thing. And so
Let's
then
give
we
the people what they want.
give them what they want. Absolutely. So we luckily got associated with some of the guys at the World Long Drive, and they were looking for a ball to use in competition. And so we, as a research and innovation company, rather than just slapping our name on them and saying, "Okay, we can kind of fill that void," we actually went to them and helped them co-design this golf ball. So like we looked at things that they were using in the previous ball, like launch angles and spin, and how many times they hit the grid. Because I mean, these guys are hitting certain shots in a window of time. It's not like they used to do it where they hit 10. There's a window of time, so there is a balance of how many balls I'm going to hit, how tired am I going to get, you know, what is the spin numbers, what is the condition. So what we did is we designed a ball that spun a little bit less than what they are typically used to. And that keeps them on the grid. It helps with trajectory. They can get a more penetrating flight. But then you can still launch it up pretty high. Some of the guys get there in different ways. Some of them hit a nice tight draw and want to do low spin and watch it roll 40 or 50 yards. And some of the guys are just, they have a ton of ball speed and they can kind of carry it the whole way, like a Berkshire or Berkman, and all those guys can really hit it far. So there's a couple of different ways you can kind of use this ball, but we still tested consumers. Obviously, it's a consumer-facing ball first. It's what the guys use on the World Long Drive Championships, but it is a consumer-facing ball. And that spin number being a little bit lower than what's typically in a very firm golf ball was very positive towards the everyday consumer. So it was a delicate balance of making a ball for the guy who's 6'4" and has a swing speed of 140 versus the everyday consumer that's just looking to pop it a little further and get to that 250 yard number, or hit it over a bunker or something like that.
When you worked with those long drive guys, did you happen to notice that a lot of them have like really hairy knuckles?
Yes, they drag the ground and they're really,
Yeah, their knuckles. They
they're all
drag their
taller.
knuckles along the ground when they walk. Did you notice that?
It is funny because a lot of them have huge arcs and they have a lot of momentous on their backswing, and they can take the club higher. I always joke that Kyle Berkshire is a big dude, and you know I'm not very tall. I'm barely 5'9", and so like his hands are like 2 feet higher in the air than mine on his backswing. So he generates a lot of swing speed, and the guys can really move it. And yeah, athletically they're pretty nuts.
I, I,
Yes,
I
they
think
are.
it's a great show to if you can attend one of those things.
Oh, I
It's
can't
great
wait for
fun
this
because
Atlanta
you
one.
see every kind of swing.
Yes.
Even a few years ago, I wrote about one guy. He made the finals. He was doing the Happy Gilmore walk up a little bit. I mean, you see, yeah.
Whatever
I mean,
works.
some of them have good swings, and some of them they're just faking whatever they can to hit it as far as they can. It's entertaining.
And
Yeah,
they
it's
even
really.
have a ladies' long drive, I think, don't they?
Yeah, they
Mhm.
do.
Oh yeah, the women can move it. They're the same way. Their swing speeds are crazy. They're hitting it over 300 consistently, and the numbers are well above what I'm capable of doing, and even what the average guy is capable of doing. They're moving it really good too, and they're happy with the ball. We speak to the women's division leaders as well, and they had a lot to do with co-designing this ball. And I mean, they're phenomenal on both sides of the ball.
That's incredible. It works for both.
Mm-hmm.
I played in a pro-am before one of the long drive things with the defending women's long drive champ, and I forget her name. She was from Sweden, I think. And yeah, she's problem is she was driving it over the green on some of the par fours,
right?
And we were short-sighted, and she couldn't chip at all, and we were short-sighted, so I was with two other guys who really couldn't chip at all.
Well, that's what you guys are supposed to do. She bombs it, and you guys get up and down. Come on.
Yeah. Well, the other two guys weren't players either, and that left me, and I'm not that good, and it's whatever. But it was fun. But she hit it a ton. It's fun to watch. So the ball is the E9 Bridgestone E9 long drive ball. Mm-hmm. Explain to people, because the immediate reaction somebody's going to have is, well, how can a ball for a guy with 140 mile an hour club head speed work for me with 87 mile an hour club head speed? And you've got that proprietary core that kind of adjusts to the force. I hope you can explain it better than I can, because I'm not sure I can, but it's pretty cool.
The cookie dough in the middle that makes it work.
Yeah,
that's right. So you almost got me there. You led the horse to water, which is perfect. It's the gradational core design. And so
that's what I was going to say.
Yes. What happens on the outside is it's really firm, and it keeps getting softer towards the center. Like Kathy kind of mentioned, a crispy cookie that has a real nice chewy center is kind of what the ball is built like. So these guys that are compressing the ball in an insane amount, can compress it all the way down, get all the way through it, and get those insane ball speeds. But the everyday consumer that still wants distance still needs to compress that golf ball. So what it does is, like you said, it reacts to the force applied to it. And we've seen some pretty insane smash factor numbers for average consumer swing speeds. Average consumer swing speed from our ball fitting data is right around 92. It's not above 100. It's not 105. It's right at 92. So when we did testing at 92 and below, we take a look at smash factor as well as launch numbers and spin. We don't want the consumer to overspin the ball and the ball is climbing and it's not getting optimal launch conditions. So the spin numbers look great. The launch is good. It still launches high, which you kind of want to get the ball up in there and launch it high. So the consumer aspect of it was a key component in making this golf ball. Because if you want to make a super firm, hard golf ball that spins a lot but goes really fast, then the consumer gets it and it's going all over the place. Then they can't control that. So there was a definite, like I mentioned before, a fine balance of making the golf ball firm enough to compete in these long drive competitions where you get that 210, 220 ball speed, but then also give you enough to where the consumer can do it, use it around the greens, and get the maximum smash factor off the tee.
Had you been to a long drive final before
I have not. I am looking forward to the one that's right here in our backyard. It's going to be at Bobby Jones in a few weeks. I am pumped about going out there. I'm going to be out there every day. We're going to be gathering content of the guys using the ball, and we're looking forward to seeing in person these swings. I've watched them on YouTube, and I've watched the Golf Channel one from the other week, and it's fun watching them swing out of the shoes, but I want to see that impact in person.
Well, what kind of reaction have you gotten from the players out there, not only in how the ball reacts, but they've had a tough go. They've jumped around trying to find a sponsor. They've had sponsors and they all last 4 years. So they've got to be thrilled, of all people, to have a ball as a company like Bridgestone, which is, did I read that you guys have the most patents on golf balls of any company?
Yeah, we are one of the most companies with patents. I don't know if we have the number one. It's usually us and Tireless bouncing back and forth for the most patents. So that line changes from year to year. We've been first before. They've been in first. But
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give them we'll give them an okay. They'll give them a mention.
Yeah.
They sell a few.
When
Yes,
you
they do.
when you get a patent on a golf ball, is that a design patent? Is it a composition patent? Because there are different kinds of patents. So is it like dimples? Is it like
It's
because
all those things you mentioned.
patent office, anybody can read them. In case the world didn't know that. So what kind of patents do you get for a golf ball?
It is everything that you just mentioned. We have dimple patents that is a certain pattern on the ball, repeating depth. It is construction design. It is cover firmness, firmness versus core hardness. Like there's a lot of things that you can get patent. A lot of them will be patent pending based on, depending on if the patent people actually approve it. But there's a lot of things that you can protect on the golf ball and make sure that somebody just, it's usually not the big brands that go into the copying. It's usually a lot of the smaller boutique brands that we see out there that'll start making balls that are very similar to something we launched a year or two ago. So those are the ones that you kind of got to protect yourself against. And we have good representation and a good attorney that kind of keeps us up on our patents and stuff versus the competition.
Does your R&D, does it move fast enough to keep up with the people that are copying and keep that going in advance of what's coming up behind you? If that makes any sense?
So yeah, we're typically about 2 years in development of a golf ball. Yeah. So 24 months, maybe a couple months here or there, depending on what product we're doing. So we'll be well in advance of for instance, we're about to launch a ball in January, and then we're going to probably start in a few months on the ball for 2026. And so our goal is to kind of keep innovating. And we're not one of our things that we say internally is we're not done innovating the golf ball. I know a lot of other brands will kind of give you there's not a lot of space. We can't really make the ball better. We can't tweak things. But yes, there is USGA guidelines where there is a limit on distance, but inside of that distance, you can do a lot of things to change the balance of spin versus spin around the greens versus spin on your driver. You can tweak materials, and that's one of the things we've done on the Tour B balls with the reactive cover is it has an additive, and a lot of companies just pour urethane over the ball, and it's a certain firmness. It's a Shore D42 or a Shore D52 on the cover. But what we do is we add additives and the ball reacts differently versus the force applied to it. I don't know if you saw those really cool college kids that make this concoction of liquid and you can walk on it and they'll run across it, but then you can also press the liquid and your hand will go down. So if you apply a light amount of force to it, it reacts soft, and if you hit it or run across it, it'll sustain your weight. So that's a little bit of an example of what we do with the cover of our golf ball, those additives. And around the greens, the ball will react a little softer to a softer impact. And then off the tee, the material will firm up a little firmer to give you a little bit more ball speed.
Yeah, that sounds like the football helmet of the future.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
you also have the additional problem of you're waiting for the USGA to drop the other shoe on this, the whole whatever there is they're going to do, which we're not really sure.
Well, but
very interesting.
Isn't that supposed to be for the PGA Tour and European Tour players?
You don't know yet.
Well, the long drive isn't a member of the PGA Tour, and their
elite competition is what they've labeled it as. So it's a little bit of a gray line, I think, on purpose, because they want to investigate elite NCAA, mid-ams, and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they'll come out with next year. If
they'd like to hold those lawsuits off as long as possible.
Possibly, yep.
Well, when you're talking, when you were getting input from the long drive guys, you don't have to name names here, but what was the absolute worst suggestion you got from somebody? Did one of the guys go, make ball from stone? Anything like that?
That's without repeating exactly what you said, but a lot of them said just make it as hard as you can.
Really?
Like just you make it hard. Ball needs to go fast, so make it hard, hard, hard. But like once we showed them what would happen on this prototype versus this prototype, and they begin some of them know their conditions and stuff like that, but there's a few of them that just swing hard as all get out and they hit the ball far. And once you start showing them the data and how the different compressions impact the shape of the ball, the flight of the ball, and then how far you hit the ball, then they started kind of pulling around to like, oh, I like this prototype better. And then you tell them like, actually, that prototype was a little softer than the one you hit over here. And they begin to kind of understand how that happens. And that washes over everyone. Like take the long drive guys out of it. That's when we launched the RX back in 2007. Everybody had a firm tour ball, and that was it. Like they think, oh, firm tour ball, you got to spin it. It needs to be firm because I got to be clicky and spin it around the greens. And then we launched the RX, and people started to understand, like, oh, a soft compression golf ball can actually kind of help with all the other things. Like greenside spin is important, but like also is everything else. Just like your driver is important, but also your irons are important, your wedges are important, your putter is important. So there's more than just driving the ball. There's also more than just wedging it around the green. The ball has to kind of give you the best attributes of everything to kind of build up a stable foundation to be able to play golf.
When you talk about the secret ingredients that you add, are those different for all the different kinds of balls? And I'm sure you're not going to tell us what the secret ingredients are.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
No,
he's going to tell us right now, Adam. Go ahead. No one's
actually it's Firestone serial number. I'm just kidding. Oh yeah, somebody would come behind me and I'd just get pulled off camera. I'm sure.
Adam can no longer. Adam's had to step out for a minute.
Yes, but yes, we have different materials that we put in. And we're a polymer and rubber company, Bridgestone Tire. So like we work with our friends over in Nashville and over in Akron. There's the Akron Tech Center, and we've sent them materials to test about durability, to test about rigidity and flexibility, and they've got labs over there. I mean, obviously they're testing on a much more safety level. The tire has to perform on the road to keep people safe. And so they're kind of down to the molecular level about what the rubber's doing. So we've sent them samples that we've wanted to use inside the cover and inside the core, and they're so great to help us build a better golf ball, and we rely on them all the time to help us with these projects.
Well, they've got a bunch of chemical engineers, I'm sure, that are just having a good time making up all this stuff. And they can go right out to Firestone Country Club in Akron and test stuff.
Yeah. We say we have 900 engineers at our disposal, and I can tell you that most of those are tire and rubber engineers that we can talk to about the golf ball. They have a bunch on staff that they use, and we optimize them as much as we can.
Probably don't have the blimp guys helping you too much, but
that's
a different company though.
Yeah.
It's so counterintuitive. That's what's cool about the ball. I mean, you just ran through it. You want it to be firmer and go farther, but to go farther, you need it to be a little softer. And you said you had to kind of back those guys into it, kind of like Oakmont. They didn't tell their members they were cutting the trees down. They just did a little at a time, and nobody noticed until the end. They're like, hey, what happened to the trees?
That's what happened to my hair, just a little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time.
Here I am. It's all gone.
Well, what is where do you, I don't know if this is proprietary information, but which one of your balls is the biggest seller? And the E9 is going to be one of the most, I would think, be one of the most popular. I don't know. I mean, the masses are all higher handicappers with slower swing speeds, and the really good balls you make are for the low handicappers, of which they make up only 8 to 10 or 12% of the game. So is the E9 going to be, where's it going to rank in the Bridgestone empire?
Well, the E9 is growing. It's fairly new. We launched it in January and put it out in the market in March. So it's becoming to get a little bit of a following for sure. But our two strongest golf balls always are the RX, because the RX is like a beautiful balance, I say, of tour ball and forgiveness and distance, because it's basically a tour ball cover but built with a little bit more forgiving and distance core. So like you can get that spin around the greens and check the ball, but then also off the tee, you're not playing a balata level golf ball that's spinning and going all over the place. And then the E12 contact is kind of our second, it's right there with the RX. The E12 contact is one that is a super soft feeling golf ball. It's even, much softer than the E9 long drive. And, a lot of people kind of gravitate to it because it's right in that sweet spot of kind of that, like I said, the attributes have been moved way over to distance and forgiveness off the tee. So you're kind of setting yourself up for success off the tee versus greenside spin. So the RX and the E12 contact are a little bit of a yin and yang of what you want in your golf game. If you're a little bit more greenside spin, you're going to gravitate to that Tour B RX. If you're a little bit, I'm kind of erratic off the tee, and if I could really set my tee game up, because a lot of people say, like, my golf game follows my shots off the tee, because everybody plays different, right? And you've had guys say the opposite and say, well, it's all about greenside and putting for me. So like guys who tend to kind of spray it off the tee gravitate to the E12 contact. So like E9 is a little bit right behind that E12 contact as far as popularity. It's getting a lot more because it's fairly new, but we're excited to see what Bobby Jones and the Atlanta Championship can do for E9 and kind of build up the hype of this being the longest ball in the world when these guys are hitting it further than any golf ball on the market.
Can you just put Tiger's face on the box? That would help.
He tends to be able to do that anytime we put him on anything.
That's my favorite moment when I went into a Golf Galaxy and you had the I forget which ball was that. It was probably one of the RX or the RXS. I forget which one, but there was a large cardboard cutout of him life size standing by the thing. And if that doesn't move golf balls, if nothing else, go into the store, take a picture.
Exactly.
Like Tiger Woods.
100%.
Now, when somebody has been belting these distance golf balls, what happens and how long is that ball staying round before you have to replace it? I mean, do they go out around faster, the distance than another one would?
That's a great question. Definitely for the average consumer, we do a lot of testing. There's a durability test and it has to hit over a certain number to even be approved by our engineers here in the US and Japan. But for those guys, they're definitely taking a look. They put an egregious amount of stress on the ball. And let's be totally honest. This is the 0.001% of people that are hitting the golf ball. So like what they do is they rotate them through, and then there's guys that are looking at them as they go through. Because I mean, golf balls aren't indestructible. They're not made of steel. They're going to crack. It's a polymer, spherical object. So like, they bust golf balls all the time in their simulators and stuff, and when they're practicing, because they're hitting them. The thing about the simulator and nets is people forget that you get impact with the ball, with the club's moving. Let's say an average long drive guy, he's swinging at 130, 125, but the ball's leaving at like 200 miles an hour. So then the ball hits the net or the screen at 200 miles an hour. So it's like a double whammy of getting hit, and it's getting hit on the screen harder than the club, and it's spinning, and you're going up in the net. So they run through some golf balls more than the average golfer, I'd say.
Yeah, that was a great use of the word egregious, by the way.
Yes.
I use that more in my stories, but then I have to look up how to spell it. So I just use a different word.
Just right click and let Word fix it for me.
You wouldn't think the world long drive guys would be caught dead hitting a pink golf ball. And yet you've got this ball coming in, you can run through the colors, but it's great for long drive because do 4 guys hit at a time and each guy's got a different color to identify? Run us through that.
Yeah. So they came to us, and one of their biggest things was, hey, we have all the data from, the launch monitors that they use at the events, but the end all be all is the distance. Like, somebody going out there and, calling in the number and physically seeing how far it goes. So one of the things they say is we need to be able to differentiate, if everybody, because used to one person hit at a time, there's no problem. You can hit white golf balls for days and you know who it is. But with 4 guys going at it at one time, guy hits a big draw and he goes on the left side of the grid. Guy on the left side hits a big cut and he goes on the right side. You don't know who it is. So we worked with them to design, 4 different models, 3 color golf balls and 1 white. But yeah, a lot of the guys like the pink. Like we've heard that Kyle Berkshire only hits the pink golf ball. He likes the pink one. That's what he wants to use in competition. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. They're going at it this week, and then in Bobby Jones to see if the champion will win with a pink golf ball.
It's white, pink, yellow. What's the 4th? Is it light blue or
orange?
Or yeah, orange. Yeah, there you go. You can
little Jerry paid orange.
You can tell me. Don't tell anyone. Just tell me. The yellow one goes a little farther than the pink one, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has a special proprietary additive to the pink dye that increases ball velocity. You didn't hear it here, though.
No, okay. But all those colors are going to be available. They're all in the stores, or will be.
They're out. Yeah,
you can
they're
buy them
out
all.
as of just a few weeks ago.
Yep. A dozen. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Unless you know the secret password when you go to Golf Galaxy, but yeah, that's up to you.
Or we're thinking about charging a little more for the yellow ones because they go a little further. So
yeah, but you didn't hear that here. So what did you ever watch on TV growing up? Did you ever watch the World Long Drive thing at all?
I remember. I'll be quite honest. I was a late get into golf guy. I grew up. I mentioned you guys earlier before we started. I grew up in the Panhandle of Florida. We didn't have a lot of golf courses. I played baseball. So
what do they call the Panhandle of Florida again, by the way?
Oh, it was L.A., Lower Alabama. It was where I was from. I grown up in a little town called Cottondale. 1 traffic light. But we didn't have a lot of golf courses. I played a lot of baseball and stuff like that. And but I remember right as I got out of baseball, my buddies played golf, and I was fairly competitive, so I didn't like it getting beat. So I got into golf pretty hard. But I do remember watching the Zubacks of the world and those guys who were just crushing the ball kind of back then. And I remember seeing a little bit of that as it was going. And I'm just glad these guys have the stage again. I'm super pumped that Golf Channel kind of picked it up again and is going to start broadcasting these events. And it just brings, golf is hot, golf is great, everybody's playing. Any unique thing that we could have that kind of shows the game in a different and unique light, I think is a fairly positive thing.
Yeah, you got to. It's hard to keep up because every 5 years or so they got a new wave of guys because the previous wave, their backs are about done, and it's a very physically demanding sport. You can't swing that hard for 25 years.
Yeah, it's about the lifespan of an NFL running back these days. It's like you're going to get 4 to 5 good years, and then good luck.
Yeah, so we're now it's time for our shameless plug. Subscribe now; it's free. Nothing will happen. You'll get the show emailed to you through the email tubes. I don't want to get technical. To your mailbox, and you'll be able to watch the show and click on like. Because our stated goal, as we've said every time, is we're hoping to get paid 17 cents at some point. We're aiming high, 17 cents. I don't know how many views you have to get to that, but we're not quite there yet. But this Bridgestone thing could put us over the top, Adam.
I think so.
Help these guys out. We got Tiger right here over my shoulder. Sign up for Tiger.
Let's talk about Tiger more. Yeah, let's talk about Tiger more.
Right.
I hope he's. I don't know where that stands. I'm looking forward to that show they're doing with the simulators.
Oh yeah,
and they're going to be on a real green with fans there, and they're going to chip and putt on a real green, but hit into a simulator. Tell me that's how's that show not going to be a hit?
Yeah, I don't see any way how that's not going to be wildly entertaining and fun. And
in fact, it's a simulator. Isn't he going to want to use the E9 for his T-ball and then chip with the RF?
Yeah. They're using Full Swing, which is his launch monitor that he works with, and we've been in talks with his guys about, his ball and everything. So yeah, I don't know. He's a little finicky about changing golf balls. So
do we know if he's ever hit an E9?
It would be fun to kind of slide an E9 in there off the tee and see if he could bust it a little further than his tour ball and then his tour ball into the green. So we might have to talk with him about that. We got our commercial shoot coming up in the next month or so, and we're going to see him and the team and kind of chat with them about next year, and pretty exciting about what possibly could be happening next year.
You just got to get him to hit a couple, but don't bring the pink ones.
Yes.
I think that could be.
We'll give him the yellow ones, the ones that go a little longer.
If you have ones with stripes, maybe tiger stripes, but I just
exactly.
the white one. I think he's
orange and a few brown stripes, whiskers.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah, well, the orange one is black and orange, so
okay,
add a couple stripes on there.
I know there's a surprise coming at the first of the year, but we're not with the ball, but we're not allowed to talk about that yet, so we won't go there. But it's top secret, and you will like it.
Okay.
Yeah, please let me hop back on with you guys in January, and we can kind of discuss it around the PGA
we'll try
show.
to squeeze you in. A lot of people are trying to get on this show.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
We're actually getting requests, so that's
all right.
pretty good. Yeah.
Thank
you so much.
It's a Bridgestone E9 long drive golf ball designed by Bridgestone with actual world long drive competitors. And it's bunch of smart guys with beards help make it happen.
Yeah. We rely on a lot of smarter guys to help us with this process, and we're fortunate to have a lot of good engineers here and a lot of people that depend on technology versus marketing. So we're always looking to make a better golf ball. We're excited about the long drive. Can't wait for the championship here in a few weeks. And again, thank you guys for having me on to chat a little bit about it and all things Bridgestone. And I look forward to hopefully one day being asked to come back on again.
Well, I really think your face with the beard, the drawing of your face with the beard on a T-shirt would sell. That's a great beard.
I've been telling them that for years, but somebody keeps telling me that I got a face for radio, so I don't know.
Well, just sell the shirts on the radio then. I don't know.
Yes.
Adam, thanks for being here.
You have a face for YouTube at this point. How's that?
Thanks, Adam. Yes. And Vanna, thanks for your help today.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thanks, guys, so much.
It's very educational.